Hey guys, so fellow Ultra Rumble content creator No Life, made a video basically of a community tier list. So it was about a week ago, exactly a week ago, he posted a video basically to let people vote on every character, and then he made a tier list out of it. I did post in the community tab about it back when it came out last week. The voting is closed now, but I just wanted to give my thoughts on like the tier list and the results of the voting from the community, as from the point of view of a Switch player, both a Switch player and someone who's played this game since daily since it came out, basically. So to start off, right at the top here, we got Rapid Toga. She got the #1 spot. Um, as for what I voted for her, I did put her in S tier. I think the reason she got it to #1 spot was just simply because she happens to be the Quirkset that's on the gacha currently right now. So I think any of these like 4 or 5 Quirksets, whichever one of them was on the gacha, would have been the one to take the #1 spot probably. So that had to be Rapatoga, so she got the #1 spot. It was actually really close, I believe. I think there was about a 5 vote difference between her and Strike Deku, or like a 3 vote difference. But yeah, it was super close, but she did get #1. Yeah, I think she belongs in S tier. I mean, I think everyone here in S tier belongs here. I mean, I think the order might be a little off. Hawks, he's been nerfed a lot. I don't know if I'd put him in S tier still. Maybe A tier, although when we get to A tier, you'll see it's very full. Like, the majority of characters are in A tier. Nejire is a tough one, because I know she's much more of a problem on console, because that's a lot harder to aim on console. Control stick aiming is a lot harder than keyboard and mouse aiming, obviously. Or just mouse aiming, I guess. But yeah, I think she still does go in S tier, but maybe like bottom. I think Mike also probably could have been higher in S tier. It's not really surprising to see all the Quirksets, or all the good Quirksets, I guess, and then Hawks, Nejire, Meg, 3 newest characters. Newest characters and then the Quirksets, because that's just how this game works. I think S tier is pretty accurate. In the video they talked a lot about like how beamers are like better on PC than console, and I agree. I think Mike is probably the best beamer in the game right now. Tech Toad, Rapid Go, Strike Deku, Rapid Toga. They're also all really good beamers, kind of. And I think another crazy thing is like Nejire's alpha is like her strongest move almost. I never see any Nejire use the alpha that much, but she's also kind of got an insane alpha. So I mean that's basically S tier. There's nothing really much surprising about it. It's just all the most annoying characters are there, you know. A tier. This one is a big tier. Most of the characters did end up here, which makes sense. Yeah, when I was voting for it, this is also the tier I put the most characters in. It was actually pretty close between S and A that I put them in, but yeah. There's a lot of really good characters in this game, so I mean with this tier list, I believe A tier and S tier are the 2 most full tiers, so obviously Twice here at the top, he's just really good. For some reason his alpha doesn't have knockdown, and then obviously when you beta, then you get your clone out, and then both of you are doing alpha, then it does crazy damage. His gamma has really great tracking. It's a free long range stun. and then plus his special action so he can get multiple extra teammates. Like, he's just always gonna be good. Personally, there's three characters here, three or four that I'm thinking I would put lower. Those four being All Might, Mirio, Ibera, and Froppy. Which those are all kind of hot takes, I know. All Might just suffers really from cooldowns. Like, if you don't hit all his moves, all his betas and alphas, then you just kind of run out. And not many other characters have that problem, where they have no buttons to press. And on console, it is a freaking mash fest. So, if your character can't like mash, then you're gonna suffer. Although I also feel like I am pretty bad at All Might, but I don't see like any All Mights at all when I'm playing on Switch. So it's not just a me thing, I feel like. Yeah, and his moves are all very hard to hit. Well, not overly hard, but a lot harder than other characters. I don't think All Might's a bad character, definitely not. His moves are hard to hit, but obviously he's not a bad character. I just think there's so many other characters who are just as good or better that are just way easier to play. Like, he really suffers just from, like, why try and play All Might? You know, why try and be good with this character when you can put in way less effort and get way more reward from any of the characters in S tier? And, like, almost every one of these other characters in A tier. You know, like, Aizawa, you just have to hit the alpha, and then it'll automatically, like, get you the gamma combo. Right? Speaking of, the shadow buff to his gamma, Aizawa is insane right now. That gamma does way too much damage now. Did not need that buff. But, yeah, All Might, you have to, even if you hit the beta, his main combo starter, you also have to then aim the alphas and hit them. Which, I know it's not really that hard, but still, it's way easier for these other characters to do what they do. So, that's why I don't think All Might. I think he's like B tier is where I put him, I believe. Yeah, I put him in B tier. Who else did I say? Mirio? Yeah, Mirio. I mean, when he first got like gutted in like season 6, I believe it was, or whenever he got gutted, I was like very happy because as a Tech Dabi main, this character was ridiculous and still kind of is, because Dabi just can't freaking hit him, which obviously is just a character issue. I should just play a good character. But what annoyed me the most about Mirio was his charged alpha, where he's fully invincible. It would go through Dabi traps and activate them, and then Mirio wouldn't take any damage, obviously because he's invincible. And I just thought that's so stupid, because he's invincible. Why is he setting them off? And then actually back last season, Season 8, they actually changed that so Mirio does not set the traps off if he is invincible. Of course, actually his beta still sets them off. And unless the trap is in the air and in the very middle of his beta, it won't hit him either. But yeah, that's just Tech Dabi problems. But yeah, I'm played him a bit more recently, and I definitely see Mirio is, he just can't do anything anymore. Obviously he's got still good mobility, but like a lot of characters have good mobility nowadays, so, and his invincibility is still good, but he just doesn't do much damage, and 225 HP, the lowest in the game, like, he dies very fast. So yeah, I think he'd also go down to B tier. From what I remember from the video, I believe he had like votes all over the place. Like, it was pretty even for each tier, but A tier happened to be the one that had the most. So, Ibera. this is definitely the hottest take. I think she is kind of garbage. Like, even with two insta-reses, two charges on her special action, I I don't think that really matters, right? Because she's just such an easy character to kill. Like, she has no mobility or any way to shield herself. All she has is a good alpha for dealing damage, but it also, like, you can tell exactly where she is when she uses it, because it comes out of her hair, obviously, the vines come from her hair. So it just leads your opponents right to you. Um, Her gamma has very low range, although it does, like, one shot Lemillion, funnily enough, but if it's level 9. But that's another thing, she really needs level 9 on both her alpha and gamma, desperately. And then her beta, I see so many Ibera players be like, oh, this is her best move, level it up, get that, use it, it's so useful. And I'm just like, this is the most boring and useless move in the entire game. It's like, what if they took, like, freaking, I don't know, AFO beta, and then it only hit like 4 times maximum, but usually only 2 hits actually connected, and it left him way open. Like, like, her beta is just completely useless, in my opinion. I know a lot of people love that move, but like, it's so small range. At the outer, like, it has okay range, I guess, technically, but those outer range hits, they don't do anything. Like, they do like 20 damage, and then they hit twice, and it does like 40 damage, but it doesn't knock people down unless they're really close to you. But then it leaves you wide open to get shot at like crazy, right? Or eat a freaking 2 overhaul gammas because it has super armor. And then her gamma, obviously, I mean, I think it's my favorite move of hers, obviously, because I can't aim the alpha because I'm bad. But you really need levels in the gamma for it to be super useful, because it also leaves you really open. Just as the beta, you can just get shot at and, like, eat moves like crazy because she has super armor on it. And yeah, I just haven't seen any Iberas at all, let alone ones that do well. I can't remember the last time I saw someone playing Ibera. It's much more of a thing on console, or at least on Switch, is there's a lot of characters that you just don't see ever get played, which I don't think is as much of an issue on, like, PC, or maybe even other consoles, but yeah. And then the last one here, I'd say should probably move down, is Froppy. I don't know. Froppy's a weird one. On When I voted, I put her in B tier, yeah. I don't know where to put her. Like, I've played her on and off throughout the game's lifespan, and she's, like, annoying to play against, but when I play as her, I just feel like I'm not doing anything, usually. But I had, like, a game yesterday, and I did really well with her, so I don't know. She's really weird. I think she is by far the worst insta-res. Speaking of insta-reses, all 3 of them are right here. Well, the ranged insta-reses, obviously, like Compress and Deku and Ida technically have those, but these ranged ones, Froppy's is definitely the worst. It doesn't go through walls, it has the least range. Froppy herself has to, like, risk dying just to get it off, way more than these other 2. I think Iberis is probably the best out of the 3 of them. Because she gets, like, that plant shield is actually really good for just blocking attacks, way better than you think it would be. And she has 2, but she herself, when she uses her special action, becomes, again, super vulnerable to attacks, like all the rest of her kit. Uh, Cementos doesn't have that problem, because it's super low end lag, and he can also just put a pillar or wall around himself, when he does it, because it also goes through walls. Both of these guys have their res go through walls, but Froppy's doesn't. But Cementos does have the issue where his like cement box he makes for his teammate just kind of ends up being a coffin most of the time for them, and they just die immediately right after. So I do think Ibear's is the best, but I think Froppy's is the worst. So she's not really supportive, that well supportive. Like if you want to play a support character, like literally any of the rest, well, yeah, literally any of the rest of them are better, especially with Kurogiri out now. Speaking of, he was also another one like Lemillion who had votes all over the place, which is fair. He's new. No one really knows where to put him. I think right here is perfect, honestly, because his combos are kind of insane with those portals. His support play, just get out of jail free card for literally anyone on your team. But yeah, back to Froppy. If you want to play like a supportive res character with movement, Kurogiri is just better. And if you're playing Froppy for insta-res, Cementos and Ibera are both just got better insta-reses. And her movement, like I said, Kurogiri, but if you're playing her for her rapidness of chasing people down, Ida does that better, Choco does that a lot better, Twice does that a lot better. You know, Hawks does that a lot better. So, I mean, I guess she's fine here, but I think I'd put her down. Especially, she's got her Gamma, which literally does nothing. The only move in the game that does nothing. That's not true. Shoto special action also does nothing. But one of only two moves that literally does nothing. It really should stop tracking moves from working. That would make it actually kind of useful. And what's funny is that's the only thing it does in One's Justice 2. But then when they ported it over to this game, they removed that, and now it just literally does nothing. I don't know why they did that. I think Quirksets, just quickly talk about these two. I don't know if Shiggy goes in this tier or below. It's hard to say. I don't feel good about putting it in B tier, because I think all Quirksets should be A or above, just to prove the point that the devs fucking love Quirksets so much. It's their favorite thing in the world. But yeah, I think these two are definitely the worst two. Kiri has a lot of crazy combos, but the other Quirksets just are easier, and these two are not as easy. Shiggy also has, Assault Shiggy also has the same problem as Strike Shiggy, where he can't really do much if you're in the air. He can throw his beta at you, and then he can throw his beta at you again. And then you would have taken like 80 damage and got knocked out, and if you're like an Ezreal, then you just immediately recover, and then stay in the air, because you can stay in the air forever, and then you kill him. Because he can't run away, because he's just got mid mobility. Also, AFO, I think he's better on console than PC, because it's just harder to roll on console, because you gotta jump cancel a jump instead of just a single button, which there's no real way to get around that. So that's basically A tier. Maybe I'd move Aizawa up a tier actually, because of his Gamma just doing way too much damage now. I don't know why they did the Shadow buff. Like, he didn't need it. There's like characters down lower in the tier list who actually need buffs like Aizawa got, but whatever. Okay, now to the bottom of the tier list. An interesting one here. Bakugo ended up getting his own tier because he was perfectly in between B and A. Bakugo is definitely a hotly debated character. I think he's probably the most divisive character in terms of tier list in this game right now. Bring up Beamers again. I think he's probably the worst Beamer in the game, because anything he does There's another beamer that just will do it better. Like, his alpha isn't very strong. It actually does knock down now, since, like, season 4 or whatever they did that. His beta, like, his beta's good. I don't know. The thing is, I can't wait for crossplay, because, like, console players will get to experience, like, Deku's, Bakugo's, and Shoto's, and All Might's, like, hitting their shots, whereas PC players will actually finally get to experience Deku players who only hit beta and can't hit alpha or gamma, Bakugo players who can only hit gamma and occasionally a beta, Shoto players who can only hit gamma. Okay, well, Shoto, you can hit stun, so it's actually easy, but, like, there's, I am not joking when I say, if you see a Bakugo on Switch, a red Bakugo, very likely they will not hit you with an alpha, because they cannot aim that well, and they will only use gamma. And then just roll and throw betas when their gamma's on cooldown. Maybe hit the beta if they're lucky, and then just only hit you with gamma. It's kind of ridiculous. But yeah, he's that's why, I mean, I put him in C tier on my tier list. I think he's just the worst beamer, and anything he does, any other character can do better, kind of. He's got no mobility. That's not true. He's got 2 special actions, and that's it. And nowadays, half the cast can chase that, and it's the half the cast that everyone else is playing. So he's never running away. His alphas are kind of hard to hit, but again, I'm bad at aiming. Even if you do hit them, I feel like they don't do much damage. Like, Nejure's alpha does more than Bakugo's, which is kind of ridiculous considering Bakugo's whole thing, with his whole quirk is about, like, explosive, doing damage. Nejure is just, like, waves of energy, but her alpha does, like, 10 more damage than his. And, like, Yellow Deku just has better movement, and his alphas don't have the problem knocking people out at combos. All Might also just has better mobility, although I'd say All Might and Strike Bakugo are pretty similar at the bottom. But yeah, I'd put him lower than this. Definitely. And then B tier, there's not much to say here. It's pretty boring tier. I do wish they'd give Toga her gamma tracking back, but they will never do that, unfortunately. She is forever bad now, especially with Rapid Toga being at the top, which sucks because Rapid Toga doesn't transform ever. There's no reason to, because she's already the best character in the game. And I, like, love the transform plays with Toga, but that's pointless now, which sucks. Shoto, if you watch my last video, you would know that Shoto actually has the least air mobility in the game. The entire video game. That's right, these two actually have more. But yeah, here, I mean, he's got probably the best no knockdown alpha in the game. It's the least nerfed in terms of damage. It's been the least nerfed. And obviously he can freely combo into it with his gammas, which he has 2 of. But then no vertical mobility. And his beta doesn't block moves that great. Although the beta offensively is literally the strongest attack in the entire game. Although I don't see many people using it offensively. But it does like 300 damage. Especially if you have tunings for it. And you can combo into it out of a melee. But Shoto's melees aren't great. They're actually pretty bad. And hard to hit. So, can't really blame people for not doing that. Endeavor, I mean, I know, like, people are always like, oh, aim assist Endeavor, he never misses shots, he's so scary, but, like, he's so easy to kill. Like, I've never been scared of an Endeavor, really. That's wrong, but there's been a couple good ones. Especially when his Gamma did, like, 400 damage. That was scary. For all, like, 1 week, 1.5 weeks, it was like that. I was kind of an Endeavor main that week. Obviously, I mean, who wasn't? That move was broken. But, yeah, right now, at the moment, I think his alpha is a completely useless move. Which is good, honestly. I wouldn't want his alpha to be good, because I don't think that's very fun to play as or against. You're just kind of holding the button on someone. Not a very fun move. I think his beta is his best move right now. But getting 2 at level 1 was actually a really good buff for him, at least in terms of his beta. And then his Gamma's solid now. Maybe give it a little more damage. I don't know. Oh, I remember when I was watching the video, they were like very amazed that Yellow Deku is down here. I think the reason he's down here is because he's a free character. He's the beginning character. When people start playing this game, the first character they're gonna pick is Yellow Deku. I know when I started first playing this game, for the first like week and a half, I would only play Yellow Deku just to like learn the game itself, and then I'd branch out and try different characters, right? But anyways, what that means is every Yellow Deku you see, it's like their first time playing this game, and they do nothing and they just die. Right, so if every Yellow Deku you encountered, maybe this might have a little bit to do with the console thing, where there's no new players playing on PC or something. But like, every time I see a Yellow Deku, it's almost always a new player, or very, very rarely, it's like someone who's been playing since release, and they miss their black whip and then I kill them. But anyways, it's usually someone who just started playing the game, so it makes the character seem really bad, because everyone playing it is really bad. I think that's a thing all the free-to-play characters have, to some extent. I think Deku has it the most. I think that's why he did end up down here in B tier. I mean, it's hard to say whether he belongs here. Probably not, but it's the issue with tier lists is like, are you talking about the average skill level of the player base of the said character, or are you talking about the peak performance of the said character? Because peak Deku is probably the best character in the game, because I think he's one of very few characters that can kill you from like full shields, full health, because Black Whip is so good. But obviously the average Deku player will not hit you with a Black Whip, let alone do anything but Black Whip into his beta. The amount of times I get grabbed by Deku just for them to kick me, and like, what was the point of that? You could just kick me. It's got tracking. The grab was pointless, but yeah. And then down here in C tier, I think Dabi should go above Kendo. Maybe above Kirishima. The Dabi v Kirishima matchup is competing for last place. Obviously, these two have always been competing for last place. Kendo recently joined after they gutted her Alpha and Gamma and didn't do anything to make up for it. And apparently her shield's still bugged, so it'll still break from like 2 Tech Shoto Alphas, you know? Or like only 4 Deku Alphas. I did not know that, because I've played her like once since Season 7, since she got the nurse. Because I just don't want to. Because she's just completely useless. But yeah. So I think she should go below Dabi. But it doesn't really matter. These guys are all really bad. Shiggy, obviously, he just can't hit Nejire or most of the rapids or Aizawa or Endeavor too, which is funny because it's another low tier, but he just happens to have a really good matchup. Like, he suffers a lot from a lot of just matchups where he just can't hit the other character because they can just stay in the air. Which, if you, my last video was about how long every character can stay in the air. And, like, it's crazy how long some characters can stay just completely safe from anything Red Shiggy can hit them with. I think there's not an easy way to fix that problem, right? Because just how his moveset's designed. I'm I think, I mean, it would be cool if they like experiment a bit, maybe give his special action a lot more just damage, and maybe make it so it doesn't knock people away, it just staggers them, and then you can combo out of it. Although that would help his ground game a lot more, and he doesn't really need help in the ground game department. So maybe like buffing his air melee, because that's the only move that hits people in the air. But then that would also unintentionally buff Assault Shiggy, which I don't think he really needs buffs. Maybe though. I'm not sure. Yellow Curie, I think he's a hard one to fix too. Maybe buff his low levels on his moves, but keep his high levels where they are, just so he doesn't suffer so much from not having levels. Obviously, you could always make his alpha hitbox a bit bigger so it would connect a bit better. Although, I think they've really fixed it over the patches, and I think it connects pretty decently well, as long as you're not extremely laggy or your opponent's extremely laggy. And it does a lot of damage if you hit them with the full thing. But yeah, buff his Lolos, maybe make his beta go farther. I don't know how much that would help, or maybe reduce the end leg on it, or do both. I think his gamma is great as it is. Maybe less startup when you do the grounded version. I'm not sure. Kendo, easy fix, just revert the changes to her alpha and gamma. Tech Dabi. Everyone always says give him a second gamma, right? Or like give it gamma super armor or whatever. I think those would be great. I think his gamma is his best move though already, so I think focus on the other parts of his moveset, probably. I like Dabi, Tech Dabi Beta is my favorite move in the game. I love the Dabi traps. It's so fun. By far the coolest move in this game. But I don't know how you would make them better either. Maybe let him place like 10 instead of 5. Or make them harder for your opponent to see. Because like you can kind of just react when you see the flame and roll out of it. Even if like the first hit hits you, then you can roll out of it. So maybe give all the hits of his beta stagger. I thought about like maybe giving his traps a bigger hitbox, but I don't think that would help. I think that hurt actually more, because it'd be easier to see them or get rid of them, or both. As alpha, I know it never, like, his alpha is really bad on PC, I know, because you can just roll it, right? On console, or at least on Switch, you can't really roll that move, always. Sometimes the Dabi player will just be laggy, and then you just can't roll it. It'll just hit you in the middle of your roll. And also, it loves to hit you around the corner. Because, like, what I'll do is I'll see a Tech Dabi, they'll shoot an alpha, then I'll walk behind a wall. And then, but on their screen, I didn't walk behind the wall yet. So then the Dabi shot hits the wall, and then I take damage. I'm like, what is this? But yeah, this game it's a great game. I mean, I'd almost like to see it work more like it does in One Justice 2, where it's slow at first, and then if you press the button again, then it goes super fast directly to your opponent, but I don't know if they could make that work even in this game. So I think just make it faster. Also wanted to quickly talk about which he didn't talk about all in the video, is the last two questions on the form were what platform are you on, and what is your peak ranking? So I thought that was super interesting. It was actually a 50-50 between both PC and console. And the console was split like 15% Nintendo Switch, like 20% PlayStation, and then like 10%. That doesn't math up to 100. But 10% on Xbox? I don't know. I don't remember what it is. I'll put it on screen. So I thought that was pretty interesting. That they actually got a 50-50 split between PC and console. So if anyone is like, oh my gosh, console players were in this tier list, why is Bakugo that low? It's actually equal console and PC, so can't blame console. And then for the rankings, I believe it was mostly Ace, and then Expert, and then Pro. So just like it decreased with just the same way ranks do. Personally, I've peaked Expert. I got Expert 2 different seasons. Although one of the seasons I got Expert in, I actually got it retroactively. Because I had only hit like high gold in that season, because Expert didn't exist back then. But then when they added Expert in ranking into the game, then it retroactively changed my rank, which is kind of funny. I actually, my most played game mode is probably solos. Ever since it got added, I've mainly only been playing solos. If I'm ever alone. If I have my friends, obviously I'll play trios. But if I'm alone in solo queuing, I really don't like to play with randoms in trios, which also probably heavily influences my opinion. Because in solos is an entirely different game, to be honest. Like, obviously, Cementos, Ibera, and Froppy, all their special actions do literally nothing in solos. Which maybe that's why I put Ibera and Froppy lower. Also, Mike, for some reason, Present Mike's Gamma does the max amount of damage, as if his teammates are dead in solos, even though he doesn't have teammates in solos. Which is very stupid. Mike ended up kind of lower where he did. Yeah, bottom of this. I think he would have been top 3, but like no one plays him because no one was able to roll for him because everyone wanted to roll for Hawks. Because Hawks was guaranteed broken, right? Luckily, I've spent thousands of dollars on this game to make sure I have every character. Just to not play most of them. The first vote, for some reason they put Tech Dabi and Tech Toga in S tier. I thought they were an Xbox player, but no, they're PC. I just thought that was kind of interesting. Also, there's only like 5 people who didn't put Toga in S tier, and I believe it was 2 Xbox players, 3 Xbox players. Yeah, 3 Xbox players, 1 PlayStation player, 1 PC player, I believe, are the only people who didn't put Toga in all the way up here into S tier. Denki, Tech Denki coming out probably in like an hour from now, from when I'm recording this. I will have a video on the patch notes, if there are anyway. There better be patch notes, or else I will be kind of pissed, to be honest. I don't know why they hate patching this game now. This kind of sucks. But yeah, I'll have a video on the patch notes, and also like just my first reactions to Tech Denki. Or my my rolls, first of all. Hopefully I roll him. Thanks for watching. Oh, I should have said at the start. But you should watch this video. The video by No Life. I'll link the community tier list. I'll link both the initial video and the results video in the description of this video. It is closed, so you can't vote in it anymore. But he goes over it along with Emro, who is a PC player. They both go over the tier list and talk about it a lot more in depth than I did. I kind of just rambled on about a couple topics, but they go over every character. So I would strongly suggest watching this community tier list results video, which I will link in the description. Subscribe to No Life. As you can see, I am subscribed. Uh, and then subscribe to me, because I need subscribers. He needs a subscriber too. He's only at 340. He deserves more, honestly. He's like great at Ultra Rumble, and he explains stuff really well. He knows what he's talking about with this game. I have more Ultra Rumble videos planned for the future, so subscribe if you want to see those. And thank you for watching.